This enabling environment thing is a big thing. Because if we solve it, it's a path to greatness. I'm not a political scientist. I'm not a structural economist. But I'm a practical person. If you solve the enabling environment, the grammar will cease. If you don't solve it, we can keep blowing grammar. It's high hurdles. We must remove the obstacles. That's what it means. Enabling environment means an environment that empowers people. When they put in their little or their best, they succeed. Whether it's in school, whether it's in hospitals, wherever they are. And if those obstacles are there, intellectual debates won't do it. We must do more for our people. In 2016, President Buhari established the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, with His Excellency the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, as chairman. PEBEC, along with its secretariat called the Enabling Business Environment Secretariat, EBIS, has made considerable progress since it was established in mid-2016. Early in 2017, as acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo signed Executive Order 01 on transparency, default approvals, and the principle of one government. Executive Order 01 is focused on ease of doing business and enabling environment. In other words, we as a public servants must remove the obstacles in your way as our citizens and as our people. That's what that Executive Order is all about. Basically making it something that is directed and required by the government, that we must do everything possible to make it easy for you. Just last week, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council had an expanded meeting that included the leadership of the National Assembly and the judiciary. For instance, the Chief Justice of Nigeria personally attended. The meeting also included representatives from states. Building on the momentum and success of the ongoing reforms at the federal level, the Nigerian Economic Council, at one of its recent meetings, agreed to roll out various ease of doing business and enabling environment initiatives at the state level. In the interest of time, I won't go into all this, but let me refer us, for those of us that want to know more about this ease of doing business. Like I said, it's a big deal. I believe it's the key to the good society we seek. But please go to the website www.pebec.gov.ng, so you can see the initiatives and the activities of this council aimed at making life easier for you. And you must become active citizens, like we're told, by embracing this, understanding it, and seeking that the orders that have been issued must work for you and work for the Nigerian people. There is no doubt whatsoever in my mind that creating the right enabling environment is a path to true and sustainable prosperity and greatness. Given the critical importance of enabling environment, it must not be left alone to governments, but we should forge a true partnership between governments, the private sector, and civil society. This must be a partnership between all of us. Enabling environment includes both soft infrastructure, rule of law, progressive business and citizen-friendly regulations, functioning and progressive public service, and so on. It also includes, obviously, hard infrastructure like power, roads, rail, water, and so on. In all these areas, we can form effective partnerships and collaboration between various stakeholders in the economy and in the country. Notably, the government, business, and civil society. All great nations without exception, have been built through successful partnerships between government, business, and civil society. It was said that I went to business school at Harvard Business School. When I was in business school, I remember taking a course called Business, Government, and International Economies. This course basically studied countries and why they succeeded or why they failed. The one takeaway for me from that course was that there was no example we did where there was no where every successful country had a partnership between business and government. In other words, there were stakeholders that worked together to create the country. Nigeria will not be an exception. The good news is that I believe that the people are willing. The businesses are willing. And now, being in government, I can actually speak as part of the government. We are willing to form this partnership that will build the Nigeria of our dreams. This leads to the next pillar and principle required to build the Nigeria of our dreams. And actually, it is from here that I get the title of my message to us this morning, or my intervention this morning. Wanted a committed generation or a new tribe to build the Nigeria of our dreams. This is something that is needed. It has been said that it takes only one committed generation to build a great nation. I quoted this before. The question is, why not us? Why not now? We need a committed generation to build the Nigeria of our dreams. I believe in personal responsibility. One of the biggest and most fundamental flaws, and I would say weaknesses in the Nigerian debate and dialogue, is this, lack of personal responsibility. People tell you what others ought to do. But there's nothing as powerful as somebody speaking and saying, this is what I will do about the problem. Not what you should do about the problem. As important as what you should do is. Because we know that real power lies when people accept responsibility. I can spend all day telling you why your own part of the world or your own part of the problem is the biggest part of the problem. But like the Bible says, that's like trying to remove the speck in your eye without removing the log in my own eye. So I want us to talk about what we can do. We, this generation that is now on stage, what can we do to build this Nigeria of our dreams? We need a committed generation, and we must become that generation. This quote, by the way, is not original. A gentleman called Manuel Soto, who served as the managing partner of Arthur Andersen in Spain, and also he covered the Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Arthur Andersen in the 70s, and witnessed the Spanish miracle, is best remembered for teaching that it takes only one committed generation to build a great nation. This quote came from him. Now, my mentor and former boss, Dick Kramer, worked with this man closely during the 70s and 80s in the Arthur Andersen practice. And he pointed out to us, those of us he mentored over the years, that one committed generation is what it would take to build the Nigeria of our dreams. And he's been saying this. The question is, who will fill this vacancy? He says all it would take is one committed generation for Nigeria, a great Nigeria, to emerge. The Spanish miracle, just to talk a bit about Spain and some other examples, the Spanish miracle was the name given to a broad-based economic reform and boom that happened in Spain between 1959 and 1974. The Spanish economic miracle was initiated by reforms promoted by the so-called technocrats, many of whom, incidentally, worked under the then head of state, Franco. But the interesting thing is that these policies were developed by and for Spain. And the technocrats, many of them also were people of faith. A number of them belonged to the Catholic order of Opus Dei and similar, sort of orders and groups. But they came together and replaced the old phalangist and reactionary order in Spain. And there are many other good examples we can cite. Many of us are aware, and we've talked often about the example of Singapore under the visionary leadership of Lee Kuan Yew. Some of us know about that China just, floundered for years until maybe 1979 or so, when they had Deng Xiaoping, who came in and basically decided if something is not working, why continue? And he changed the system, and China took off. And I believe it is our turn to shine. As the Bible says, there is nothing new under the sun. Other nations have successfully done what we are seeking to do in Nigeria. And we must learn from what has worked. Let me share another anecdote. I enjoy reading some of these people who talk about basic wisdom, elementary wisdom. This same gentleman, Charles Munger, was asked to give a speech to the Harvard Law School. And basically, his speech was focused on, let me tell you the things that will guarantee you misery in life. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the topic. He said, if you wanted to be miserable, there are certain things you should do. One of the examples, or one of the things he pointed out, was that if you really want to be miserable, insist that you will only learn from your own experience. I will never learn from anybody else. Some of us remember the Welsh proverb, experience is the best teacher for a fool. What we're trying to do as Nigeria has been done. We just have to learn from the experience of other people. And I believe that if we do the same thing others have done to be successful, we will be successful. There is nothing complicated or particularly unique about Nigeria in that respect. We're unique people in some respects, but I tell you, we're unique in a good way. Those other ones know we can do better. His Excellency, the Vice President, in a keynote address at the Apostles in the Marketplace Annual Nation Building Workshop last year here in Lagos said, and I quote him, "To build a new Nigeria, we need a new tribe. A tribe of men and women of all faiths, tribes, and ethnicities, committed to a country run on high values of integrity, hard work,